Welcome to this YouTube channel. Today we are going to look at a function that can unpivot data. Now, if you go to Google Sheets, there is no function that can unpivot data. All you have to do is create a function to do that. I did an earlier example, a video in which I demonstrated how you can use the pattern function and split function to do the unpivoting data. In this video, I'm going to show you a function I have created. If you look at this unpivot function I've created that you can use to unpivot your data. If you don't understand all what this is, I'm going to show you how to do it. First of all, first thing is, what do we mean by unpivoting data? Now, before I use my function, I need to show you that if you have a data set in this format, you have a date. I come here and put date. I have names over here. These are names. The rest three, the other third item is amount. This. So I want to change and trickle and play around with this data so that all dates are in the first column. These names appear in the second column, and these values appear in the third column. That's what we mean by unpivot your data. Why would you be doing this? In some cases, when you're doing a data analysis, better to have your data in format, because when it is in this format, it is that's why you would want to do that. Okay, now I have created a function called unpivot. This function does not exist in Google Sheets. If you try to type it in your sheet, you are not gonna see it. As you can see, it's a named function. Did a video on named functions. You can also have a look at that. If I open my brackets, there's row range. In this case, the row range means this range here, which I specify like so. If you put a comma, you see column range. Column range is these ones here, these names on top here, comma, data set. The data set is the rest of the values that you want to unpivot. Just like that, close your brackets, press enter, and there you go. Your data is unpivoted. So, in quick steps, this is a function that changes this data from this format to this format. Now, having known the magic of the function, the question is, how do we build that function? That is the next step I'm gonna show you. Now, before we build the function, we need to understand what's going on. We are going to get all the dates in this column. So what we're gonna do is get these dates, okay? And I'm gonna put n% and I'm gonna separate them with the comma. And in a minute, you're gonna know why I'm doing this. Then next, I want the names. So where are my names? My names are here, okay? Next, I want the amounts. But before I put the amounts, I need to put comma right there, n%. Next are where are my amounts? My amounts are these ones here. Press enter, I get a value error. Array value could not be found. No problem. What you can do here, if I Control Shift Enter, press enter. There you go. This is what you're gonna get. So what you see here is in the first row, I have the date. This number represents the date. I have John. I have the value. So I have date, which should be January, then John, this one here, then the value. Now, when you get data in this set, there's 3 columns, this column, this column, this column. You'll observe that this column only has John. This column only has Peter. This column only has Tom. So what we can do with such a data set, we can go in here before we enclose our array function, and we use another Google Sheet function called flatten. And what flatten is gonna do, if I press enter, you can see it changes all the data. So it comes this row, January, John, the value, January, John, the value, the next January, Peter, the value, the next January, Tom, the value. Then after that, goes back to John, then Peter, then so. So you can see that by using the flatten function, we're able to turn the format data set format. And this format, the first one is the date which we want. The next one, comma, after the comma, we have the name which we want. And the last one is the amount which we also want. So when it is in this format, what function can you use to separate this data set here so that from one cell, we have 3 columns where the first value will be in the first column, John will be in the next column, and the value will be in the third column. The function you can think of is the split function, because the split function, if I enclose this here, I say split function is going to split this range of data from the flatten function, and I want to split by comma. What I'm saying is wherever there is a comma, push the data. No, that's the point where you need to separate your columns. Where there is a comma, this will be the first column, Peter, second column, and the value or the amount in the third column. So when I do that and press enter, there you go. You're gonna see that the values are now separated into 3 separate columns, and that's what we want. Now, the next thing is, hey guy, these numbers do not look right. All you have to do is format them into whatever format you want them to be, and they will look the way you want. So when you do that, you can get your result as shown here. Now, having done this, the next question, this is a very complex function. I don't know. All the time, I need a single function that can accomplish. That is where we can go into Google Sheets, create our own function, which we can import into another Google Sheet function, spreadsheet, and use over and over again, and never come back to this long function, which is complicated and confusing. Now, to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this function, Ctrl+C, so I have it in my clipboard, go to data, then run down here, named functions. It opens a named functions dialog on my right. Right down here, I have add a new function. This is what I want to do. If you want to import a new function, you can use this one here. I demonstrated this in my named function video, which you can look at. So you click on name new function. My function is gonna be called Unpivot. So function description, this function unpivots data. Okay. The named arguments, placeholders. So I'm going to call this array here row array. I want to say row range. Okay. Enter. Then I used this one here. Remember, I said this against this. I'm going to call this one column range. So when you see the column range, you know that it's talking about these columns here. I press enter. And lastly, here is this data set here that I'm gonna say data set to be pivoted. So I press that over there, and there you go. Now, the next, what we need to complete next is a definition of our function, and that is where I'm gonna paste my function in there. Put an equal signs and paste the function that I copied. You'll see that in this function, I used A2 to A19, which was this one here, and this is what I call my draw range. I'm gonna click on A2 to A19, and I'm going to specify that this A2 to A19 is the row range. Okay. Then I click on define. So you'll see that where there was A2 to A19 has been replaced by row range. Then B1 to BD1, that is my column range. Then I define that where there was B1 to B9, D1, it is replaced by column range. Next is the data set. So I pick the data set, define that as well, and it is replaced in there. So after I've done this, I need to move to the next step by clicking next. Then here it requires you to define the range, this to describe the row range. So this is the row range. You can put in nice words to tell you what it means. And here it says give an example, A2 to A19. Then this is a column range. You can describe it more descriptively, and this will be my B1 to D1. And then we go to the data set. This is my data set. Okay. Then you can put in an example, which is B2 to D19, and you say create. Now our function has been created. So let's test it out. I'm gonna delete this and see if I can achieve the same now using my function. The advantage of this is it makes it more efficient. For example, I'll not need to do all those complicated things I did before. All that work was done. I'm going to just type in Unpivot, and the word that I was typing in row range do appear. And when you come here, you can see the blocks are automatically created. So this one can guide you on what of each of these arguments means. The row range, I come and select the row range. Okay, say row range, select this row range, put comma. The next argument is column range, select that column range, comma. The next argument is the data set. I can come here, I select my data set. the moment I hit enter, you can see that everything works as expected. So this way, I've created a function which does not exist in Google Sheets, and I can reuse it often in other sheets as well. So if you want to understand how to import a function in Google Sheets, now that I've created that function, if I have another Google Sheet here that I want to import the function into, I have to go to that Google Sheet, named function. You can see the two options here, import the function. I say import function. Now I need to search for where I saved that sheet that has my function. So that sheet that has my function, I need to check for it. Possibly it is down here. Okay. Maybe I go to the quick way to do it is to go to the recent. Then I click on this sheet here, and then it brings a button here called insert. Click on that insert. It will bring all the named functions, and then I'll say import. Click on that function you want to import and click on import right here. So now my function has been imported in another Google Sheet function, in another Google Sheet. So let's copy this data, go to the new sheet we have created, assuming this is our data, and test it in a different sheet, whether it works. So the first argument here is my date. The next argument I want here is my name. The next argument is the amount. So using this, do some quick formatting right here. Now my function has been imported. I can say, click on type in the imported function. I select the row range, comma, I select the column range, comma, I select the data set. Now I'm using it practically and press enter. The dates are not formatted. I go into format, then format the date in the format, and there you go. So I've shown you that we can create a function that does not exist, import it, and use it in another Google Sheet. And so next time I have a challenge of unpivoting data, I'm not going to go back and create a complex function. All I'm going to do is the named function, which I can use over and over again. And that's where the power is. The ability to use the function over and over again makes it more efficient. With that, give me your comments, and if you have any questions, share with me. I can look at that. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Otherwise, you'll miss videos like this one, which are more educative. And also hit the notification button to be alerted when I produce new videos. That way, you'll not be able to miss out anything, and you'll be able to follow whatever video that I produce. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and see you in the next video.